The next step in preparing a solution is to place our sample in the flask. Now by this point you should have already done the math and measured out the mass of your solute that you need. So here's my solute that I'm using. And we need an instrument now to measure the volume of our solution. So we're going to choose a volumetric flask. Again, these are called volumetric flasks because they only have one mark on them and they're only designed to measure one volume. So we have various different sizes of them, from 1,000 milliliter volumetric flasks down to 100. In fact, we have some 50s that I don't have out here right now. And you want to choose the proper flask depending on how much solution you want to make. In this case, let's make a 500 milliliter solution. So I'm going to choose the 500 milliliter volumetric flask. Now you simply want to pour your sample into the flask. Sounds simple, but sometimes that's difficult. Now in some cases, the solute that you have is fairly small and flows very easy, such as the case here. And in this case, I'll just be able to directly pour it in. If you're using one of these weighing dishes, a little trick you can do is they fold and kind of crease up like this very easy. And then you can just simply hold your volumetric flask at an angle. And since this solute will flow out very easily, I can do it this way directly without losing anything. In other cases, if I had more of a powdery form that liked to stick, I might make a funnel such as this, and then I can pour it through that way. Now, the last thing is, I still have a few trace amounts of my sample in here, my solute. I want to get all of my solute in here. So a little trick we can do is a very technical thing called rinsing. And I can simply take some deionized water, squirt the inside of this with some of the deionized water, and that will pick up some of the trace amounts that are left behind. And then I can take that, get it dissolved, and then pour that into my bottle. And if need be, I can do that a second time to make sure that I got all of that out. And we can do this because we're going to ultimately just be placing some more deionized water in here anyway. And this little rinsing technique just makes sure that we get all of it in the sample. Now that we have all of our solute in the flask, the third and final step is to simply fill the flask with water. Now, when we do this, we want to make sure that we are not adding too much water. Now in this case, the proper amount of solution that we want is we want a 500 milliliter solution. Now that does not mean that we're going to add 500 milliliters of water. We're going to add water to this until the total comes to the line at 500 milliliters. If I added 500 milliliters of water, it would actually be a little bit more since I already have some solute in here. Okay, so again, we're not adding 500 milliliters of water, we're adding water until the total is 500 milliliters. Now when you add water and make a solution, you always want to use deionized water instead of regular tap water. Regular tap water has a lot of impurities in it, such as chlorine ions and calcium and magnesium ions, and we don't want those in our sample. And so we're going to add the deionized water to it. So we're going to take some deionized water, and then we'll slowly and carefully pour the deionized water in. Now I like to get this about half filled. When it's about halfway filled, I like to stop and then swirl it around. Now what I'm doing right now is I'm just making sure that all of my sample is dissolved, because it's much easier to swirl and dissolve your sample when this is half full than if we could fill this all the way. Okay, now once it looks like all of my sample is dissolved, then I'm going to go ahead and continue filling. Now I'm going to do this carefully, because once this gets to the point where the water comes up to the net, that level is going to rise very, very quickly. And I'm going to need a little bit more water here to finish this off. And a little bit more. Okay. Now we're getting close to the net, so I'm going to go slowly, keeping in mind where that mark is. There's that mark. Now, I want to make sure I go really slowly here because if I goof and if I go over the line, I can't fix that. There's no way I can do it because I can't just take the water out because now my solute is mixed in with the water. So I'm real careful to stop well before I get to the line, and then for my last part to get up to the line, I'm just going to take an eyedropper and some more DI water, and I'm going to drop this in, making sure that I do not go over the line. And once I've done that, I can simply put my cap on and swirl it up, and then I'll have my proper solution.